This is the story of how strategic innovation can sometimes lead to unintended consequences. Manchester City, the club that celebrated a triumphant season not long ago, now finds itself teetering on the edge of disarray. The irony lies in the fact that the root cause of their troubles isn't solely poor player performances. Instead, it's the unraveling of two of Pep Guardiola's most lauded attributes: his meticulous squad planning and tactical ingenuity. The first challenge is evident when analyzing the squad composition. This roster boasts exceptional talent, particularly in mastering the deep-lying pivot role. However, this abundance of specialists in a similar mold has highlighted a glaring miscalculation. During Pep's early tenure, he could rely on Yaya Touré and Fernandinho, a formidable duo that eventually transitioned into Rodri taking over from Fernandinho. Over time, as Fernandinho departed and Rodri ascended to the spotlight, the gap in succession planning became apparent. Calvin Phillips stands as the sole holding midfielder acquired post-Fernandinho, but his limited opportunities suggest Pep may not have fully backed his inclusion. This resulted in Rodri shouldering an extraordinary workload, playing relentlessly. While his consistency fortified the team, the heavy minutes have taken their toll. Rodri's ACL injury has sidelined him for the season, exposing the team's over-reliance on his unique capabilities and poor squad depth in this pivotal position. Pep's second hallmark, his ability to innovate tactically, has further complicated matters. In recent seasons, Guardiola adapted his strategies to counter narrower, deeper defensive setups. Initially, traditional fullbacks allowed wingers to cut inside, creating numerical superiority in midfield. However, Pep later shifted to a midfield diamond system, which proved a masterstroke toward the end of the 2022-23 campaign. By positioning Rico Lewis higher up the pitch, City gained a 3 versus 2 edge in creative zones, forcing opponents into defensive dilemmas. The evolution also ushered in elite dribblers like Jeremy Doku and Mateus Savinho, who thrived in one-on-one situations. Meanwhile, the defensive trio spread wide to dismantle compact defensive lines. Yet, this brilliance hinged on Rodri's extraordinary abilities. His unmatched positional awareness and physicality allowed him to shield vast spaces defensively. Offensively, his incisive passing transformed defense into harm with unmatched speed and precision. Without Rodri, the system's vulnerabilities are magnified. Mateo Kovacic, while an exceptional midfielder, brings a different skill set. He excels in tight dribbling and short passes, but lacks Rodri's expansive passing range. Kovacic's tendency to carry the ball disrupts the team's structure, slowing transitions and giving opponents time to regroup. Rodri's ability to deliver pinpoint long balls and swift switches of play made wingers more dangerous, granting them space and momentum in one-on-one duels. Kovacic, by contrast, struggles to replicate these sequences, resulting in reduced offensive effectiveness. The absence of Rodri has also disrupted key tactical relationships. For instance, Kyle Walker's overlapping runs, a fail-safe mechanism in City's playbook, relied heavily on Rodri's precise chipped passes. These pinpoint deliveries allowed Walker to exploit wide spaces and deliver threatening crosses. Without Rodri's accuracy, this avenue has diminished, further stifling City's attacking arsenal. To compensate, City has attempted to pin opponents deep within their defensive third, hoping to unlock defenses through intricate passing in congested areas. As Manchester City continues to push their tactical limits, a critical question looms. Has Guardiola's evolution gone too far? The team's higher defensive line, an integral part of their new system, has created vulnerabilities that are only becoming more apparent. To understand the scope of the challenge, we need to revisit Pep Guardiola's journey and the lessons he's absorbed, and perhaps forgotten, throughout his managerial career. Each league Pep has managed and has left its mark on his philosophy. In Spain, the emphasis on possession and technical mastery shaped his early successes, epitomized by his Barcelona team that dominated global football. Moving to England, he adapted to the physical demands of the Premier League, assembling a squad capable of both playing beautiful football and holding its own in the physical battles of the English game. Yet, there's a critical lesson from his Bundesliga tenure that seems to have faded. the art of counter-harm prevention. When Pep arrived in Germany, he encountered a league where almost every team excelled at counterattacking football. His initial attempt to replicate Barcelona's single pivot system with overlapping fullbacks proved disastrous. Opponents exploited the gaps relentlessly, forcing Pep to rethink. At Bayern Munich, he addressed this by inverting his fullbacks, creating a more compact 2-3 structure. Later, at Manchester City, this principle evolved into a 3-2 shape with a fullback stepping into midfield alongside the holding player. This setup allowed the team to recover from turnovers more effectively, minimizing the threat of counterattacks. However, Guardiola's latest tactical shift has upended this balance. The current system pushes fullbacks into advanced midfield roles, leaving a wide 3-1 defensive shape. This isolates the pivot, who is now tasked with managing vast spaces alone. Even with Rodri, arguably the most complete midfielder in football, cracks in this setup began to appear last season. Rodri's exceptional blend of physicality and positional intelligence allowed him to delay counterattacks just long enough for the team to recover, but the demands were enormous. Now, with Mateo Kovacic in that role, those cracks have widened into gaping holes. The absence of Rodri has been compounded by other tactical and personnel decisions. Rico Lewis, deputizing at right back, cannot replicate Kyle Walker's blistering recovery pace during transitions. Even when Walker plays, the lack of a secondary pivot alongside Kovacic leaves the midfield exposed. Opponents no longer need to intricately play through City's lines. They can simply absorb pressure, wait for turnovers, and exploit the acres of space left in midfield. One well-timed pass is often enough to send attackers racing towards City's goal. The issues extend beyond the midfield. The wide areas, a crucial element of City's attacking play, have also suffered. The arrival of Mateus Savinho was meant to introduce explosive dribblers who could consistently feed Erling Haaland. While effective in principle, this strategy has proven risky. These dribblers, as dynamic as they are also prone to losing possession. In City's current shape, such turnovers often lead directly to high-quality chances for the opposition. As a result, Pep has scaled back on deploying two dribblers simultaneously, instead favoring more conservative options. This shift has created another problem: the absence of Jack Grealish. Known for his ability to manipulate defenses and create space for teammates, Grealish has played only 35% of available minutes this season. In his stead, Mateus Nunes, more suited to a box-to-box role, has struggled to replicate Grealish's effectiveness in wide areas, leaving City's harm less fluid and less threatening. Individual player performances further exacerbate these systemic issues. While Haaland remains a reliable goal scorer, the supporting cast has faltered. Two of last season's top 4 scorers are gone, and Phil Foden's inconsistent form has diminished his impact. The situation is similar with assists. Injuries and out-of-form players have robbed City of key contributors, leaving Bernardo Silva and others unable to fill the void. Perhaps most worrying is the intangible factor, the sheer determination that drove City to their historic treble last season. That relentless drive appears to have faded, replaced by moments of hesitation and frustration. Guardiola, celebrated for his tactical ingenuity, now faces one of the most significant challenges of his career. The very innovations that secured his greatest triumphs have become the source of his team's struggles. The question now is not just whether Pep can reignite City's form, but if he can reimagine the system that has both propelled and hindered them. If anyone can, it's Guardiola, but the task ahead may redefine his legacy. Pep Guardiola's brilliance has always been defined by his ability to innovate and adapt, but Manchester City's current struggles reveal the fine line between genius and overcomplication. The cracks in the system, exposed by injuries and tactical shifts, have left City vulnerable in ways we haven't seen before. Yet if history has taught us anything, it's that Guardiola thrives on reinvention. Can he find the answers to reignite City's form and preserve their dominance? Or are we witnessing the limits of his tactical evolution? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more deep dives into football's most fascinating stories. Until next time, stay inspired,